strongly caution, the following programs are intended for mature audiences over the age of 18. These programs may contain some material that many parents would not find suitable for children and may include intense violence, sexual situations, coarse language, and suggestive dialogue.
Happy Monday night. We got one of the guys from Hindsight Hero joining us tonight. How you doing, dude?
What's up? What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
What's going on?
What's up, everybody?
Absolutely. Hey, there's no better way than spending a Monday night when half the people ain't doing shit anyways, but getting ready to go to bed and go to work the next day. So you might as well fucking watch us fucking off.
That's right.
You got to go to work. I'm off.
What? I don't have to go to work. This is my Friday. Monday's my Friday, so it's probably a terrible Friday, but it works for me. I don't care. All right, CB, I'm gonna let you kick it off tonight, brother. I know you got something interesting.
Yeah. So, what is the best time of the day that you like for your inspiration and for any sort of like musical inspiration? I guess you could say.
Normally around this time, to be honest.
So you're a night owl?
Yeah, definitely a night owl.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll slam some caffeine like I'm doing right now, and then I'll just go with the flow and see what happens.
Yo, I can't write for shit.
Really?
No.
Sometimes stuff happens during the day, but once again, it's normally like it's the caffeine, man. Once I'm feeling like, you just get hyped up and then pick up the guitar and just try to come up with something.
I'm very much a morning person.
Are you?
Early as I'll wake up and literally take a shower, get out of the shower, and then pick up my bass and start fucking writing.
That's crazy, man. Yeah. I wish I could do that, but
and then come about 10:30 in the morning, I'm done.
I'm not even really. I don't even think I'm a human being until about 12 o'clock. But
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I'm all morning. Once it hits about fucking 10:30 at night, I'm starting to go down for the count.
Oh man, yeah. I'm going down some conspiracy loophole at like 3 a.m. Then I finally pass out. But
yeah,
I can't even remember the last time I seen 3 a.m. Probably when I was a teenager, most likely.
Well, you probably have priorities to be up. I normally don't, so it is what it is, But
I have no priorities other than my stuff.
Yeah.
No kids, not married.
Hey, you and me both. I know how it feels.
Hey,
but I'm still not getting up early.
We're smart. I'm just saying.
CB is included in that. I'm not. I got a wife and I got a kid.
Okay, yeah. See, he's got it together. Yeah, we're just out here winging it.
Does he? Or
I mean, I don't know. That's the argument, right? Like,
that,
I don't
that's
know.
that's all a perspective, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
All right,
Yeah,
so
yeah, look at her.
for you growing up, what was your biggest musical inspiration? Like, who made you want to play music?
Um, I think first it had to have been Angus Young from like AC/DC. Um, I was obsessed with that shit. And they were just bigger than life. By the time, I was born in like '88, so like by the time my dad introduced me to AC/DC, they were like gods, kind of, musically. Watching all those live videos and all that stuff, and I was like, yeah, I think that's something I'd like to do. So that was like the rock introduction, and then I think Stevie Ray Vaughan was probably the other 50%, like the blues shit. Um, so I immediately connected with that stuff pretty early on. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't know if I ever consciously made the decision to play guitar or whatever. Like once I heard those guys, I just kind of knew. I was like, yeah, this is it. Like I got to figure this out. So those two guys in particular, and even to this day, I think that stuff comes out like because I was so heavily influenced by them. So like even now I take a big mix of like rock influence and blues influence, and then as I got older, I got into metal and stuff too. So now it's just a big like blender of stuff. But
A bit.
yeah,
It's like I kind of laugh because like we talked to all these musicians from various ages and
yeah,
levels of playing, and I always hear like, oh, we want to sound just like A, B, C, or D, and it's always like whoever their inspirations were, whether it's like Slipknot for some of these newer guys, and I'm just like, let me
yeah,
tell you something, they could be your inspiration,
yeah.
and you can pull inspiration from them. But if you think you're going to go into a room with four other guys and you're going to come out sound like Slipknot,
No,
in mind.
and that's a big part of the process is like having to get away from like trying to sound like that because it never works. Like it just always comes up. Even if you get the ballpark, it just sounds like some Dollar General version of like what you liked. It's like because it's not like legit. You can't copy those guys completely. Um, and I think that's a very common thing, even for people like me. Even still, I have to like, all right, I gotta forget about like what I want to sound like. Because you're constantly listening to stuff that you love, and it's like, man, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. Um, but
Some of the
yeah,
biggest help I ever got was I got this advice from a bigger band, and I was talking to the bass player, and he said, he goes, I will not listen to metal when I'm about to go into the studio and write.
yeah,
He goes, I'll listen to anything other
yeah,
than heavy metal.
yeah,
And he goes, and trust me, he goes, it will work. And so sure shit, I started doing it. Like I started listening to stuff like normally if I'm going to go in, it's going to be like Post Malone, The Weeknd,
yeah,
shit like that. I'll listen to stuff and it does. It fucking helps me a ton because I don't have that mindset of what I was just listening to. And
yeah,
then I go in there and start fucking mimicking.
yeah. That's a great little trick there. It also allows you to think outside the box with stuff you normally don't listen to, like subconsciously. Like you file that stuff away and you don't realize it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
All right, Mosh, you're up, brother.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get it started then. Star Wars or Star Trek?
oh man. Um, Actually, early on, for whatever reason, Star Trek was like introduced to me. Like I didn't know anything about Star Wars for years, so it was definitely Star Trek for a while, and then I had to go back and experience Star Wars. So I don't even know. I don't know if I had to pick one. I think Star Wars may be cooler overall, for sure. Like once I learned what was going on. But all I knew as a kid was Star Trek, and I thought it was awesome. So I don't know. That's a good question.
You can say both if you need to.
I mean, I guess, yeah. Like there's still things about Star Wars that I don't know about. Like I need to go do like a heavy rewatch, so I know
No,
exactly what's up.
all you need to do is just DM this man right here.
Okay. Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I am a huge Star Wars fanatic and collector, and have been for a long time.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's definitely one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like as far as like a long term. I mean, it's up there with like like Lord of the Rings, like the top tier like stories or whatever.
Right.
But yep.
So, are you since you're a guitarist, are you a collector of guitars? Are you one of those guys that has like fucking 50 fucking guitars? And if you do, what is your preferred brand to play
As a collector, it's kind of like if I could, I would have 50
on?
for
Okay,
sure.
fair enough.
Um, I mean, I'll go out and buy even now like the brand. I'll go ahead and tell you. So now I'm hooked on this brand called Soar, which is like an American made. They make like super strats and stuff.
Right.
Because I grew up playing like SGs, like Gibsons, and then I also was playing Stratocasters for the blues stuff. But neither one of them sounds like the other. So when I finally figured out a super strat can kind of do both, like the humbucker and like the strat and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, I can get all these sounds in one guitar instead of having to like switch gears and all that. So once I landed on that, I was like, all right, I need to find a good super strat, and then I bit the bullet, paid a shitload of money for one of these Sword guitars, and I've been spoiled ever since. Um, but I mean, you have to pay it. You have to pay for it. And that's been the problem. So now I'm just broke. I just buy like
Man,
once you buy something at a certain like level, it's hard to go back.
You
It's
really
like
can't.
yeah, I've tried to. I'm like, oh, I'll just get a little beater guitar as like a backup, and then I'll do that, and I'm like, this thing's a piece of shit. Like I'm not gonna play this, and then I save up and drop like another 3K on a nice guitar. But if I could have 40 or 50 of them, I totally would, but I just literally can't afford it now. So I have to literally like now it's like if I buy something, I got to sell something, and
See,
it's a terrible thing to have to do, but yeah,
I'm so scared. I've always played like mid level basses,
yeah,
and I just bought my first like high end.
yeah.
I haven't got it yet because I decided that I wanted like all this fucking shit done to it, and
Hmm.
so I paid for it, and it's supposed to be here in like June or July, and I'm like, goddamn, I'm gonna get this thing, and I'm never gonna be able to go back, and I'm gonna scrap every
Yeah,
bass I got. I'm never gonna touch them again, and they're gonna fucking sit here and collect dust.
that's what'll happen, to be honest. I mean, there's certain guitars that do certain things that maybe like a Les Paul or like a Telly, which I'm not really a Telly guy, but there's certain shit that just does what it does, and it's cool to have that laying around, but whatever, man. Just give me my super, like a good super strat, and I'm good to go. I think what I have even more of a problem with is amps. Uh, like that sort of thing kind of ended the guitar quest. I'm like, all right, I can't bitch anymore. I got the best of the best. I got to be happy with what I got. But like with amps, it's always like I'm always wanting to get another amp. Um,
So
so that's another
do
problem.
you still play on cabs?
Yes and no. So like lately, I've went full. Yeah, I've went full into the modeling world. I have a quad cortex,
Mm.
and I spent like so many hours with it because I'm so like I'm OCD about that shit. So I took forever with it and just wasn't quite there. And then I started uh, profiling like my actual amps that I would use live through the quad cortex, and I was like, this is pretty damn close. And so the last two shows, and I'm an amp guy through and through. Like I thought I was gonna be the last guy on the planet to use one of these modelers. I was like, screw that, and just give me an amp and a cab. Um, but man, if you could get it right, it's hard to it's hard to argue. You just pull up with a damn laptop case, almost, and plug in the front house, and you're playing a
That's
gig.
me. I'm pulling out the laptop plug in.
Yeah.
I've got
So
everything
now,
up
so
done.
now, like I used to run this monstrosity of a rig where I ran two amps at once forever because I'm normally the only guitar player in my bands, like for the last two or three bands I've been in. So I was spoiled, man. I had, two amps running stereo, this wall of sound, even, feel it in your pants leg and stuff behind you on stage. And then I converted that down to this thing. And yeah, I miss it, but it's hard to be the asshole now to pull up with like 200 pounds of gear. It's like, how selfish am I going to be? Like, am I really going to haul this stuff there for the 10% difference, or am I just going to like be happy with this? You know,
Yeah,
That's when you just hire big motherfuckers like me.
that's right. Yeah,
you know,
yeah, definitely need yeah, because doing all that
after
stuff by yourself is stressful.
after all the years of lugging around huge cabs and fucking taking them upstairs and up ramps and falling and damn near breaking ankles and
Yep.
mishaps and shit like that. I don't ever want. Once I started using a laptop and everything, I couldn't go back.
Yeah, it's
Like
so good now. Like I said, it's like 90 something percent there. You know, like so it's like yeah, I guess I shouldn't be that selfish to just haul this stuff around. That being said, I still like real stuff better. But like, yeah.
bruh,
And you'll show up. Sometimes you play like holes in the wall. Like you know how it is. You show up to some gig and you've never been there before, and it's like, yeah, you got like 3 feet of room. Now it really doesn't matter. It's like, ah, cool. I can just plug this thing in. With
yeah,
that being said, though, I am now running. I'll run like a small head and a small cab on stage out of the quad cortex, so I do have some stage volume because I notice when you go see bands that run direct, when you get really close to the stage, all you hear is a drum kit because there's no cabs, no guitars like blaring at you, and it just kind of loses something. So I do kind of have a cab going on stage just for that. It's not even mic'd up. It's just for for the crowd and
right.
maybe the little bit of frequency you could feel it. I do like feeling it. But yeah, it's a different world now, man. It's crazy. Actually, I never thought it'd be like that, but
Oh, I didn't either. I mean, I remember back in the day buying my first cab, and I'm like, oh, it's so cool. I got this fucking fancy ass cab, and we got neons, and I got
yeah,
my cab fucking like customized with my band fucking shit on the front. Got a silk screen to put on it, and
yep,
all this other shit. And then all of a sudden, like, you go see your first band that's playing, line in over the PA, and it's like, well, shit, where's their equipment?
yeah.
Well, fuck, they don't have to carry that shit. Wait a minute. You-
Yeah, and now everybody's running, you're running those in-ear systems. You have those
yeah,
headphones in, so like you're shut off from the room anyway.
right.
Which that's a whole nother thing it's a love-hate. Like I really miss just being in the room and just losing hearing, from everything like being too loud and like just vibing out in the room with all that noise. Like I miss that shit so much, but now, you leave the gig and my ears aren't ringing. I heard everything perfect, and it's like, all right, well, once again, you're like, how am I going to argue with that?
Yeah, see, I do like that. Now, are you one of those ones that plays with a metronome in your ear?
We haven't been doing that live yet. Um, we've been kicking it around at like rehearsal and stuff, but we are kind of very much, we do like a little bit of like the raw aspect, you know? So like we'll put in the time and make sure we're playing tight, but we're like definitely late to the game of like just totally going full like everything's perfect on the click and because cool stuff can happen in the set, that you weren't planning for, like improvising and but yeah, the click when obviously when you record and stuff, the click's a given, like it's just drilled in there. And I may practice at home with it sometimes just to make sure I'm in check, but uh, yeah, I'd rather not have that. But I think we'll have to transition to that live as well, depending on how the intros go and all that shit. It just depends on what your production is, I guess. But we're a pretty simple band.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah,
I will not play to a fucking click track.
it takes the. I mean, I guess you can ignore it after a while, but it does kind of take away from. You're trying to be inspired and have fun. Like I don't know, it can definitely take away from that a little bit. But
It fucks me up. Like for
yeah,
some reason, I'll start concentrating so hard on that click track, and it just fucks me up. All I
yeah,
need is the goddamn rhythm guitar and the fucking drums, and I'm fucking good. I don't want to hear that fucking boop 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 boop. Nah,
yeah. I
fuck,
know.
fuck that. I can't do it. I don't even like doing it recording. I know I
Yeah,
have to, but I
yeah,
fucking hate doing it. Hate it. All right,
yeah.
Steve, you're up, bro.
All right. So, does pineapple belong on pizza?
I knew this question was coming at some point.
I mean, I'm a very simple guy, so I think I would say no. I think my opinion's no because it's kind of like the cheeseburger theory. Like, if I'm gonna go have the best cheeseburger, I just want a basic, like, cheeseburger. Like, if I'm gonna go get a pizza, I normally like I gauge the pizza by like a pepperoni pizza. Like, if I'm gonna try a new pizza somewhere, I'm like, this is what pizza's all about. Pepperoni. I don't really care for all the other shit like the pineapple thing. I don't even think I've ever tried it to be honest. So I
Ooh.
can't comment too hard on it, but uh I'm not curious enough to try it. I'll put it that way.
Oh, see,
Well,
I'm
there's
a
a second part to this question he needs to ask.
what?
So, second part is do you eat pizza with a fork?
Hell no. I psychopaths do that. I hope I never see anybody eat pizza with a fork. Thankfully no one's ever done that in person in front of me. Yeah,
Oh,
that would be terrible.
man. We was waiting for that answer. We was waiting for that answer.
Yeah, that's a different breed of a person right there, I think.
Ouch.
Wait, you do that?
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Because I got it from my mother. My mother
Okay.
is OCD about cleanliness, and she does not like. And me, my mom, and my brother were all the same way. We cannot stand our hands being dirty. Cannot stand it.
I mean,
don't-
I'm kind of like that too. Like I don't even like eating wings now because I don't want to have to like go take a shower afterwards, you know.
It drives me nuts. So like I eat fucking pizza with a fork.
That's pretty funny though. Yeah,
Uh,
I've never seen it, and yeah, that's bizarre, but you know, to each their own.
I do it. I do it all the time. Which I don't eat pizza a whole lot, but because I don't. I'm getting older, and me and Grease just don't really.
right.
We don't.
You
We
don't
ain't
get along with a lot of things.
Yeah, it's like the hangover thing when you get older. It's like you can't handle it like you used to.
Yeah, we'll just wait about another 5 years, bro, and you're gonna.
Yeah, you like eat two pieces and you have acid reflux for like 24 hours or some shit, you know.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even know what that was when I was younger.
Me neither. It's just- I can't- now it's like you're hitting your fucking 40s and you're in the doctor every fucking 4 or 5 months with something. It's like, what the fuck is going on? This is some bullshit.
Lay down on your pillow wrong, you're waking up with aches in your knees and
Yeah, yeah, it's a real thing.
oh yeah.
Fuck that. All right, so you could go on tour with any 3 bands of your choice. Who would you choose to go on tour?
Okay. I think um, I think Alter Bridge would be one.
That's a good
Because you know when I was younger, Creed was cool, but when Alter Bridge became Alter Bridge, I was like, this is awesome. Because I've always respected Tremonti, obviously,
one. Right.
and I've listened to them forever. And I don't know if you guys have seen them live or not, but I think that's a big one.
I've seen
Um,
the Bridge live, but I've never seen Creed live.
yeah, I mean honestly, I haven't either. Um, I mean obviously I need to, I guess, but Alter Bridge, I think Seven Dust would be another one.
Oh,
I've always been a massive fan of them. Uh, so those two are on lock, I think. And third would be like a personal pick for me. There's this band out of Canada that's called Big Wreck, and no one knows anything about them. But uh, I call them Canada's best kept secret. But they're like absurd. It's absurdly good. The guy sounds like he sings like Chris Cornell and plays guitar like one of the best guitar players in the world all at once, and he's a great songwriter. It's more of like a rock. It's not heavy really, but it's more of just a straight up like rock and roll band. But yeah, they're unbelievable. I think that would be my third. Yeah, right now I think those would be my three.
see,
For
to me,
sure.
like, I like that you brought it up because I actually find more indie bands
Yeah.
that are better
Yeah.
like legitimately better than all
Yeah.
of your big name, big huge bands that I'm seeing out. Like me, I spend more time listening to indie bands that I have found doing this podcast than
Yeah.
I do big bands.
Yeah. I mean, I think a big part of that is they're just doing what they want to do. Like they don't have to answer to shit. They don't have to talk to a label about anything. They don't have to. They're just doing it because they love to do it, and like they're just doing stuff like natural instinct. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. You know, like a lot of these newer bands, they got the label sitting in the room while they're recording, and they got all these influences and money, and the money obviously is a huge factor. And I think that can definitely take away from, you know, a lot of stuff. And that's like all the songs too long, or you need to cut this in half. And where's the single? I don't hear the single, the radio single. Like you don't have it. Like with these smaller bands and stuff, these indie bands and stuff, like they don't give a shit about that. They're just writing like great music. And
Right.
yeah, that's the bands I try to. Sometimes they're hard to find, but like you said, when you find them, it's like damn.
Tell me, because I spend hours every
Yeah.
fucking week scraping the barrels of YouTube to
Yep.
find
Yeah.
unknown bands, because we also have a show that we play music videos for like an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and all stuff that I've never known. We try to find the most unknown bands that we could fucking possibly find
Yeah.
in order to play on them.
Overseas,
And
everywhere.
these
Yeah.
bands have just been blowing my fucking mind.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, it is pretty wild. Because obviously a lot of these bands aren't like the money's not what it used to be. So when you hear like these bands, they're doing it because they just love to do it. I mean, even like us, we're doing what we do just because we love to do it. I mean, everything else is just a bonus. Like
We had a guy on not too long ago. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to put him in the spotlight. But he's an old school guy. He's worked for Roadrunner and Jive and Warner
yeah,
Brothers, and he came on the show. We asked him, for young bands coming up, what's the best advice you could give them? He goes, unless you got a whole lot of money already stacked up, or you just love it, quit.
yeah, it'll yeah,
Literally,
it'll
he said, he goes, quit.
yeah, it'll chew you up and spit you out like real fast.
He was
If
like,
you're in it for any other reason that like nowadays, like it used to be, the whole like 80s like idea of like the partying and the like, the glory days of like the money and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's not, can't do that anymore. Like you just gotta, it's,
nope.
yeah, the business side of things is what is the worst part about it now. But it is what it is, you can't, I mean, if I wasn't doing it, I'd be the most miserable dude on the planet.
Oh yeah.
So it kind of just comes down to that. I don't have a choice, whether it sucks or not, money wise or whatever it is. Like I just have to do it.
I think that's for most of us. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Like, even if we were big at one point and couldn't afford to be big anymore, we'll
yeah,
still fucking play locally just because we
yeah,
like fucking blood.
yeah, yeah,
That's all there is to it.
yep.
All right, CB, you up?
So, if you could go to any country and live there, where would you go? And would you live where the culture is, or would you try to separate yourself and try to just live like a luxurious life?
Um, there's definitely some ideas. Like there's a country that comes to mind is something like Switzerland.
Okay.
Um, that's always like appealed to me. Uh, yeah, for one, it's just beautiful there, and it seems like there's as a society, it's just kind of chill and everything's like, they're not in like a limelight in in a bad way. You're just kind of out there, you're living your life in a beautiful place. But I think yeah, I mean I'm very much kind of a in my own lane, I guess. So I would definitely like to experience the culture, but it sounds weird, but being a musician, I'm definitely kind of more of a loner, I think. When I'm not playing music, I'm like, all right, I'm out. I'm chilling. Even though I love that aspect of being around a lot of people and like I thrive in those situations, but I think I would gravitate towards just living out on the land somewhere.
Okay.
I dig that.
Yeah.
All right,
But
Mosh,
there's
you up.
So, given the fact that you were speaking about crowds and stuff like that earlier when you're playing the shows, where do you find your eyes attracted the most at in the crowd? Is it the front, middle, or all the way in the back?
um I guess depending on the venue, normally it's somewhere across the front. And to be honest, sometimes you can't see shit. Like sometimes you're just like flashbanged like for half the gig, you know? Like it's like I can't see anybody. You just see like silhouettes, but I do like to look at people. Sometimes that can be scary because like when you do like a quick scan, like you see people who are like truly like captivated, and then you also see these people who are like, yeah, I'm not impressed or like whatever. Like you can just kind of read it, you know, like as you do like a scan. So that could be a dangerous thing, but the good nights, man, when everybody's just like laser focused and attentive, like it is super cool just to kind of like scan around the room. I guess take it all in, you know, like play the big venues, you know, you like to scan up top and stuff and just really, I'm trying to be much more aware of that now because like early on you're so caught up in your performance, sometimes it's hard to just enjoy it and just look around and just chill. But now I don't take any of that stuff for granted anymore. So I definitely take more time to like, all right, I'm playing a show. This is cool as hell. Like I'm in the moment. Like let's look around, and then it is what it is. But yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, are you one of those guys? Do you prefer the recording process, or do you prefer to play live?
Yeah, I've actually thought about this a lot because depending on the song, sometimes the recording process can be the best ever. Uh, I mean, I look at the live thing as a huge bonus, and there are some shows that are just outliers that are just insane that you'll never forget. But there's something about walking in, like when you're creating something, and it's like the inception of like everything that happens after that. And sometimes those moments are like so cool because you're just everybody's like chasing a moment, you know, like when you're writing or recording, I mean, even as a listener, but you're trying to land on that moment that like makes you feel, you know, that just triggers you like in a way. And then when you hit that in the studio, it's kind of like lightning in a bottle, I guess. And it doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get to the studio and it's like, yeah, it sounds like nothing like I thought it was going to sound like in my head. And then sometimes it's like, oh my God, this is amazing, you know.
Right.
And there's a lot of excitement around that, and you'll never forget that. But yeah, I mean, there's some shows that are just so awesome that it's just like they just kind of haunt you, you know, in the best way. It's like, man,
You got a good story to tell?
I mean, yeah, that honestly, there's a couple shows that come to mind where we just played. And prior to this band, I was in a trio band called Kings of Vale. We were like a rock trio, and a little kind of, you know, a little bit heavier, I guess. But we played like this hole in the wall one night. I'm trying to think of where we were at. But I mean, you couldn't squeeze another person in there shoulder to shoulder, and the place sucked. You know, it's like it's probably didn't even sound that great. It's not like this big glorious crowd or anything like that. But for the people that were there, you know, it was like the most energy. Sometimes it's those little unexpected shows that are the best, you know, because everybody's just going nuts and everything's so close to you and it's like so intimate. You know, when you play those huge shows, um, I actually went on tour with a band for a few years called Within Reason, and they're based out of Birmingham, and we were fortunate enough to play. We were like openers for like big bands, you know, we were kind of like the warm ups for for like
Right.
the larger bands. But we played some huge venues and you know amphitheaters and stuff like that, and those are amazing. But like hell, the first person's like seems like they're 50 yards away from you. You know, it's like everything's like so far. Um, Granted that, I mean, there was one show in particular where we opened up for in that band Within Reason that I was in. We opened up for Godsmack in a place called Saginaw, Michigan, way out in the middle of nowhere, and it was like 10, 12,000 people there. And like I remember in the dressing room before we went on, the crowd started chanting and like stomping and stuff. And like I remember our drinks on our green room table were just like shaking on the table.
Damn.
And if you want like an oh shit moment, like, if you're not already like anxious or nervous, it's like, man, these people have to be entertained, or like I'm gonna crawl in a hole for like a year. So that show on the big stage, that shows like that come to mind where it's just like full force, like my God, like I can't do a backflip, because your energy's so high, and you're just like I got to play my parts, but also enjoy this somehow. And on the flip side, like those small club shows where everybody's just having a killer time and it's packed, those are just as good in my opinion. I think I've heard some other big bands mention that too, because it's just so intimate.
Yeah.
If,
I've
if,
heard
yeah,
I've heard some people say that being on those big stages is almost like being underneath a magnifying glass.
yeah, yeah,
And it's like the crowd is like looking down on you and you can't really see what's going on, but they're all fucking cued in on you, which
yep,
makes it like 10 times worse. But
yeah,
when
yeah,
you're in a tiny little club, especially if it's one that doesn't have like a jacked up stage, it's like lower. You
yeah,
can only see like the first like 2 rows of people. Everything behind it, you can't see jack shit. You
yeah,
know they're there, but you
yeah,
can't fucking see it.
yeah. I love that shit, man. Yeah, the water, as long as the place is packed, I don't care if it can hold 100 people or 300 people or 1,000 people. Like, I mean, that's where it's at.
Absolutely. All right, CB, you up?
All right. So growing up, it was yo-yos and pogs for me. What was it for you?
Man,
Oh boy.
I don't know. You know what? I got a yo-yo at one point, and I got so pissed off because I sucked at it that I think I just broke it. Uh, yeah, this is like, back in the day, or like, I don't know, you'd see people do like the crazy like triangle with the yo-yo and all these and stuff, and I'm doing like the most basic hang, and it's like my fingertips about to rip off, and I can't even like do the most basic shit, so I stopped doing that real quick. I was just always a video game kid, man. I was a little tucked away in the bedroom, like playing Need for Speed or something, like
Okay.
that's about it.
All right.
I see your face, Mosh. Go.
Yep. I
Go.
opened it up for you. Go
Go.
ahead.
Yeah, you done opened up the door, boss man. So if you could take one of your songs and put it in a video game, what would it be? And what would that character be doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you done opened up the floodgate now.
Um, it's funny because it'd have to be a different style, I think, from what we're doing, but like there was something about like the Halo series that was just the right time for me.
I don't
Um,
know. I think you could get away with it in some of those areas.
well, I mean, Breaking Benjamin did it. I mean, they did it for that one song, which I didn't expect.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, Master Chief, that was like, I mean, I spent way too many hours playing that shit. I could be a
hey,
lot better at guitar if I could put that controller down. But even to this day, I'm always gaming. Like whether it was Final Fantasy VII was probably my favorite game ever. Uh, and now, I played World of Warcraft now for like 15 years, on and off. So that'd probably be a close second, I think. But I mean, what the hell are you gonna make some? I don't play the flute and all that other stuff. I don't even think I can make that work. But
I mean, I can see it when you're in like a real deep mission and you have all the aliens coming at you and stuff like that, and you have to defend an area, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden that heavy metal start. Yeah, I can
yeah.
see that happening.
To be honest, that's one of like those bucket list things. I would love to make a song or some sort of a soundtrack to a video game. I've always wanted to do that. But I mean, you just have to go to a totally different like space to write it. But that would be so much fun, man. Because some of those soundtracks are just so damn good. You like
Yes.
I don't know, like with Halo, like you turn on that the title screen, and I hear that now, and I'm just like, it's almost
Are we playing
emotional.
Halo?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now,
Basically, a
going
whole
in,
Meerkat moment.
So going into like, I mean, this is kind of along the lines, sort of, kind of, but as far as like artistically, so you go into talking about creating music for a video game.
Hmm.
Now, the flip side to it, do you believe that art is still important in music as far as like, say, album covers, T-shirts, stuff
Yeah,
like?
I I've been trying to think about ways to still incorporate stuff like that because there's something to be said for like a physical attachment to sound too. Like it's kind of like when you go buy a Tool record, you know, like when you went and bought that Tool CD and you got that booklet where you open up and it's got all this beautiful artwork and stuff while you're listening to the music. Like there's a lot to be said for that, you know. And granted, we don't have CDs and stuff anymore, but like, yeah, I think it's very important. Uh, whether it's just an image, you know, but I think yeah, tied in with that, like just having something like not just Spotify, boom, it's playing. Like I really miss having an attachment to something physical. It's kind of like the whole vinyl thing, you know, like people are trying to do that with vinyls to have something physical,
Yeah,
but it's still not quite the same as it was, you know, because who can play the vinyl? You know, not many people have a player, you know, to do that. But
I do.
same with video games. This goes with
I collect vinyls. I still listen to
nice,
it.
yeah. So like it's kind of like video games. You know, you waited in line for some of those games to come out, and you
Mhm.
know you got the physical copy of it. You couldn't wait to open it up and put it in, and like yeah, that was a big part of it for sure. Uh, and that's something that's kind of been lost, I think, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'll never. It's like I tell people all the time, like some of these younger guys that never got to experience it. There's bands I found strictly off of their artwork on their
Yep.
albums. Like that's how I discovered Tool. It's
Yeah.
how I discovered fucking Marilyn Manson, Rob
Yeah.
Zombie, Pantera. Was just
And
literally.
some bands like that can really like the vibe of the band can like really capitalize off of it. Like Tool, like you said, it's like it was like perfect for what it was. Like the vibe and they could just go off the rails with that stuff and have something so cool. You know, some bands, you know, more like straight up, maybe like a straight up rock and roll band. I mean, something simple is fine, but yeah, some of those bands could super capitalize. Like think about this. Think about if Sleep Theory had a CD, how cool it would be. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like they would go above and beyond for something like that with the artwork, and they try to do that in like you know videos and stuff like that. But another one of those bands that would super capitalize off of something like that. You know?
yeah. I love that band. I
Yeah.
just started listening to them about 4 or 5 months ago,
Yep.
and they are phenomenal. I absolutely love that band. But it's
Yep.
like I've discovered so many bands from my childhood just based off of walking into a CD store
Yep.
and seeing it. And I had no idea who the fuck they were. But I was like, man, that album artwork's cool as shit.
Yep.
And I even did the same thing with T-shirts. Like I'd walk into like FYE back in the day,
Yeah.
go back to the T-shirts, be like, that's a cool ass fucking T-shirt. Buy it, then go find the band, and
Yep.
of course would end up most times loving it.
Yep.
Like I did that with Alice in Chains. I seen an Alice in Chains
Oh
shirt,
man.
loved it, got it,
Speaking of that, yeah,
went with them, and fell in love with them.
I'm always I always go back and listen. I did that lately. I went down the rabbit hole of listening to all their stuff again, and I was just like, man, it's just so good. Um,
It is.
it's just hard to capture that now. Uh, I just miss that era so much, so much.
I think most people do.
Yeah,
Most
it was
people.
just so real and like I don't know, like I know it's kind of like one of those things like, oh, well, my generation was the best, but no, like I really think there was something special around that time, like that whole grunge era and like the way people were expressing music, and I don't know, there's just something awesome about it.
I mean, hell, it was the grunge and metal. It was both of
Yeah,
them. They were
all of it.
all
Yeah, it was definitely a
grinding
golden
out
age.
these amazing fucking bands. Everything from Alice in Chains and Nirvana and Linkin Park, Soundgarden, and
Yeah, it was just
Korn.
all so like raw is the word that, and I don't really hear that now. Like it's a very rare thing to hear now where because everything's so like processed and modernized. Like the whole merge with like technology is like is crossed into music as well, and everything now sounds perfect and everything's just polished and all this shit, which is cool. I mean, it's very pleasing to listen to, but like when you go back and listen to that stuff, it's just like it's just real shit, you know? Like it's just straight up, no BS, no filler. It's just raw as hell, and I miss that so much. And that's something like even with our band, I'm like we want to be somewhat current, but at the same time, I don't want to fully transition into that super processed thing. Like I want to keep some sort of like human element into what's going on without completely just falling off, you know, the track. But yeah, it's
Right.
tough.
No, I got you. All right, Mosh, you up, bro?
Well, speaking of falling off the track and human aspect and everything else like that, what is your thoughts of the AI in the music industry?
Um,
It looks like I touched a nerve.
yeah, it's funny because there was a few YouTube channels that they were like metal based that they had like this AI. They would plug in all the sounds, and this AI would create metal music on a live feed for like 24/7. And it's one of the coolest things I've ever heard because on a mathematical side, I was hearing like these breakdowns and stuff that were like impossible. You know, it's like I just laughed my ass off from some of it, and some of it was so cool. But I think based off kind of what you said, like with everything trending kind of towards that vibe, like the more technology based and the AI, it's going to keep going that direction. I just don't know how much longer it's going to happen before everybody's going to long for like a human element again. And I hope that's what happens. But I really do think it will because art is like the only thing that's left, probably the only thing that will be left that's going to have some sort of like a human element involved into it. You know what I mean? And that's what it's supposed to be. You know, it's like if robots take over the world, like everything's gonna be perfect. I mean, that doesn't sound very fun. You know, like, and then so at some point, I don't know when that transition is gonna happen, but I think people are really gonna long for like imperfection, like straight up like human element in like art and music again. So it's definitely a threat with the AI, obviously. Um, but I don't think it's a long-term threat in art. But I could be wrong. I mean, it may get so good that you won't even know. But obviously, I don't want that to happen. I don't. It's like, don't take my job, you know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
All right.
Yeah, I don't want to be living in an iRobot stage.
No,
No.
it looks like that's whatever. It looks like it's where it's headed, but I don't know. We'll see.
That's kind of terrifying.
It really is. I think
That's
about that
just
all the time.
it's like I'm watching all these shows on fucking shit, and they got like damn robot girlfriends now, and I'm like, yeah, no.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that, right? No,
There you
I'm
go
just kidding.
again.
Until you get your shit bit off because it malfunctions.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way. I think I'd be more terrified than anything to have something like that roaming around the house.
No thanks. I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, I'd totally pass. Yeah.
All right, CB, you up, brother?
What is your greatest oh shit moment while on stage?
Okay. This is pretty recent, actually. I've been pretty fortunate, to be honest. I haven't had any terrible like falls. I probably will in my next show. Now that I said that, but um,
Knock on some damn wood.
yeah, I know, man. I had this gig recently where I was hired. So the band Hinder basically called me to fill in for their guitar player, okay? Which I toured with these guys back in like 16, 17 with that other band that I was playing with, Within Reason. And we went on tour together, and that's how I met those guys. Whatever. Fast forward, they randomly called me this later this last year, and they're like, "Hey, would you be interested in filling in for Blower, our guitar player, for this gig?" And I'm like, I mean, I guess, you know, it's like hard to say no. It's like, why wouldn't I? So then I have to go through like the process of like learning all their stuff, and I didn't have that long to learn it. And it was a fly date, so I had to fly to Yuma. I think it was in Yuma, Arizona. Yeah.
Ooh. Sorry.
Yeah, very strange place. But
Yeah.
so anyway, I'm like cramping all this material in, trying to learn it, and I'm replacing or I'm filling in for the lead guitar player. So I'm learning all the guitar solos, all the intros. Like I'm starting the majority of the songs, and they're running click, and they're running like these cues, right? So I have to go play this show with them. No practice. I didn't have one practice with these guys. I guess they just assumed, for whatever reason, that I was gonna be all right, which was even more terrifying because then I was like, wow, they're really counting on me to just show up and somehow know what's going on. So yeah, I did my best to learn everything. So long story long, we get into the middle of the set and I'm supposed to do the intro to their big hit, Lips of an Angel. Okay. So I got this acoustic out and I'm start the intro to the song. Well, little do I know, I'm 2 clicks late on the intro. On the biggest song in the set. Everybody showed up for this song, you know? So, like, I keep playing the intro, or I keep playing the beginning of the song, and I noticed he doesn't start singing the song. And I'm like, oh, he should have started singing right there, because I don't know that I'm late on the intro. I was like, man, this guy should have started singing right there. And I look over, and they're all just, like, beaming me, like, what are you doing in the middle of it? So, like, I mean, I immediately just like almost disintegrated. I felt so my biggest freak out moment of my life. So basically, I had to find a way to like play the riff, and they had to like restart the track as I'm playing the riff to try to do it as seamlessly as possible. And I think we pulled it off where most people didn't really know it was anything terrible.
Right.
But the fact that you mess up like the intro to like Lips of an Angel, which is like, you know, what everybody's there for. Dude, it was like, yeah, that's definitely an oh shit. Like, these guys are not gonna be happy about that.
I think I've seen that YouTube clip.
You probably did. It's funny because like for 99% of the set, like I was cool. Like I was pretty confident at most all of it. But that was like the one thing you don't want to mess up, you know? But it is what it is. At least I didn't like crash out in the middle of the song or something. But
yeah, but how the fuck were you supposed to know? You never practiced with them, never done the set before in your damn life. So.
I know. It was kind of like, yeah. You talk about. I was definitely a little. Yeah, I was nervous going into that because you think you know the songs, but it's like, do I really know it? Do I really know all this shit? You know, until the song starts, it's like, yeah, I don't know, man.
Set are we talking?
I was an hour and 15 minutes. So it was like 12, no, it's 15, it was 14 or 15 songs I had to learn. And they're all in like different tunings and all this other stuff. Yeah, it was.
Ooh.
They called me back though, so to do another show. So that was like you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad, right? And then when I went back the second time, it was everything was much easier. It's like, okay, I kind of know what to expect. But yeah, man, you talk about being scared. Just the weight of that song. It's like I'm not covering Lips of an Angel. Like I'm playing the song with the guys, and I'm about to screw it up. You know. But yeah, that's definitely the oh shit story there. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was a big oh shit story.
Yeah.
All right, Mosh, you get the last question before we get into playing one of their music videos and closing this thing out.
So, you were given superpowers. What are they, and are you a hero or are you a villain?
Yeah. I think teleportation would probably way up there. I don't. When it comes to the hero villain thing, like, I mean, I guess I'd want to play the hero, but I feel like I would just like screw up all of reality if I was to alter anything. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you pick like time travel. It's like, well, if you make a decision 50 years ago, you may like erase yourself, or you know, kind of one of those things. Like you may just screw everything up. So I think I'd pick teleportation for the time that I'm here, to be able to just teleport to like the beach or wherever I want to go for like while I'm on lunch break or something. Yeah, that'd be insane.
Fuck yeah.
A lot of people say flying, but I'm like, yeah, it's a waste of time. Like I just want to be there, you know.
I think I agree with you. I think I'd pick teleportation.
I
I think
mean,
I really would.
other than
There was
like,
one person that said thought control, control everybody's thoughts. But and I'm
that sounds like a villain right there. That's true villain arc there. That's what that is.
No shit. So on that, where do you guys like to talk to your fans the most? Is there a social media platform that you prefer? Where can they get your music? And most importantly, where can they get your merch?
So yeah, honestly, I think we're most active probably on Instagram. We're pretty personal. We try to be really personable on all the platforms. Facebook, Instagram, probably the best too, to like talk to us directly. Um, and I don't know if you have our link or whatever, but our Instagram's hindsight.hero, and you can add us on Facebook. We're on everything, and link trees, our link tree to all of our other links and stuff are within those as well. Um, And as far as merch, we're trying to set up a merch store actually to where people can just place an order. But as of right now, be on the lookout for, because we're trying to book shows right now. So just be on the lookout on our socials for when we play, where we play. Come hang out, come see us, and we'll have a lot of merch on display for you guys there. So I think right now that'd be the best bet. But that's what we're doing right now. We're doing a bunch of writing. Going to be recording soon to be able to release new material, and we're just trying to book a lot of shows. So depending on where you guys are at, we may be there soon. So keep an eye out for that.
Awesome. So on that, boys and girls, we are out of here for tonight. Don't go anywhere because we are going to play the music video for More to Life. We will be back tomorrow. We have the band Eulogy from the United Kingdom coming on with us tomorrow. So it's going to be an early show, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time on that. We love you guys. Have a great night.
Hey, really appreciate it, guys. It was a lot of fun, actually.